Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel and my craft table. Thanks so much for being here with me today. Today is day 2 of my 2025 Christmas crafting series. Now today's video is a gift video. Once again, we're going to be creating a really cool pair of mugs that not only complement each other, but they would go great with yesterday's gift from day 1. So without further ado, let's head on down to the craft table and get started. Now today's video, we're going to make a pair of mugs. Now these are matching, so they're not exactly the same, but they go together. Nice little complementary set. So I just picked up these mugs. These are the Sublimation mugs from Michaels. These are the 11.8. These would coordinate with a 12-ounce mug design setup in Cricut Design Space. So I got 2 of those. And I also picked up their Sublimation sheets from Michaels. This is the red and black plaid. I just think that's really fun. So we're going to try that out. And then I've got heat resistant tape, my Cricut Joy Extra standard grip mat, some butcher paper. I have scissors, weeding tool, tweezers. And then before we get started, I wanted to show you a comparison just in case you're curious. So earlier I took off a little snippet of the Michaels plaid and then the Cricut plaid. And then I just put them here on this little polyester swatch that I have. And I labeled it as Cricut and Michaels with an infusible ink pen. That's part of it's a little messy, but more importantly, I was worried about what the difference was here and which one I would like. So I went ahead and did them. I do think that they both worked great. I love the fact that they're both vibrant and bright. The only thing I really noticed is that this is more of like a cranberry red and this is more of like a brick red. So I guess it depends on kind of the image you're going for, but I'm going to go ahead and use this today on our matching mugs, and let's go ahead and get started.
All right, I am in Design Space and let's go make the design for our mugs today. The very first thing that I want to do is I want to go right here to this middle box, and I want to search mug design setup. And so this is what's going to come up on my screen, and I'm going to scroll down. And once I get to about right here, you start seeing these. These look like they are, commercially produced. So these are the Cricut mug design setups. And I'm going to choose this one right here that has the snowflake. And when I bring up that menu, I want to click on this down arrow right here. And then I can search through all of the patterns they have available. So I want the snowflakes. Now this top one is the 12-ounce. This is the 15-ounce, second one here. Then we have the beveled bottom, which is kind of like a curved bottom. And then the stackable is the ones that look like this. They have that little lip on them. But I just want the 12-ounce. So I'm going to choose that first one. And you can always scroll down and just double check that it's asking you to purchase that 12-ounce mug. All right, so next I'm going to go ahead and hit Customize. All right, so here is my mug design setup, and I do not want to change any sizing on this. This is sized exactly for the 12-ounce mug. But what I do want to do is click on this down arrow right here, and then I want to click on the blue portion and come up here and change it to red. Okay, and this is just going to represent the black and red check patterned infusible ink that we're using. All right, next I want to go and get the images for the Holly Jolly and the Merry and Bright that I want to put on the sides. I have already bookmarked them, so I'm going to click on bookmark and then I'm going to type Holly Jolly. Okay, and then this one comes up here first. That is definitely the one I want. So I'll go ahead and click on the Holly Jolly and it'll populate into my canvas. Next, I want to go and type in merry and bright. Okay, this one here, this red, pink, and kind of an orangey color, this one is very similar in design style to these letters here. So it's got this curve with the little hook on the end. So I'm going to choose that one. But I really like this word and right here. That's all scripty. So I'm going to select that one as well. And we're going to marry those two together. All right, let's collapse that menu. And now I'm going to bring all of these things over and just kind of move them up and around. I'm also going to zoom out. Oop, a little too far. I'm going to zoom out so that we can see what we're doing. And I'm going to move merry and bright down here to the bottom of my screen. Right, and next I want to duplicate this mug design setup. So I'm going to click on that and then come over here to the plus sign and I'm going to duplicate that. You can also press Control D on your keyboard. All right, so there are my two mug designs. And this one's easy. I just have to size this down and stick this right up here. And that you can see that that is still a little too big. So I'm going to keep sizing it down. And I think that's probably really good. All right, so next I want to select all three of these pieces. I want to go to Edit, and I want to go to Align, and then Center. All right, that puts the holly and the jolly perfectly in the center of my mug design. Okay, so now you can see that holly jolly is perfectly centered. So I need to, let me click off of all of that. I need to come down here to the holly jolly, and I'm going to click on that little arrow. And then I want to grab all three of these items, and I'm going to turn this into one layer. So I'm going to go to Combine and Weld. Now you don't have to do this. You could leave it separate and just attach all of it, which would be just fine. Okay, so this is the holly jolly and everything has been welded together. The reason I did that is because I want to slice holly jolly out of the red portion of my mug design. Okay, so then let's do this. Let's ungroup the snowflakes, and I can ungroup the holly jolly. And then I'm going to grab my red layer, and I'm going to grab my weld layer. Now the Cricut recognizes that both of these are single layers, and I want to come down here to slice. Click on slice, and I'm going to get several things that I don't need. For instance, I'm going to get this holly jolly with the red, and that's what I do want. This is green, and this is red. And I don't need either of those, so I'm just going to delete them. This gets put right back into place, and I'll center that here in just a second. But now what I have is I have the words holly jolly cut out of that red mug design. So I'll select both of them. I'm going to go to Edit. I'm going to go to Align and Center and collapse the menu. Okay, so this is ready. I'm going to select all of that and click Attach. And I'm going to actually change that to red again, just because I want to see that it looks like what I'm going to actually create. And then I'm going to double click on the word Attach, and I'm going to type holly jolly. Now that one's ready to go. Let's work on the merry and bright. So I'm going to come over here and let's click on this first one. Now, first of all, that's a really cute design. I could just go with that, absolutely. But I really like the curved elements of the other one. So in this design, I am going to ungroup that. And then I'm going to hold down my Shift key and select all of these other elements, just leaving the and portion unchecked. And then I will delete those. Okay, so now I have my and. And we'll resize that in just a moment. Okay, so next we have this Merry and Bright. Now I just need to find that and in the middle. So this top portion here, this is my yellow piece. And then I have my red piece. And then finally in the middle, I have my and piece. And I am going to actually delete that. And I'm left with this. Next, I want to take my and, the scripty one, and I want to grab it and size it down. And then I'm going to move it over here and I'm going to see if I like how that looks. And let's zoom in for that one. Okay. So the words look great. I like the sizing and everything of the words. Okay, but here's the issue. I need to move my red star pieces. As you can see, they intersect with the word and. So I'm going to come over to the red Merry pieces here in my layers panel. That is my yellow piece. And here is my red piece. In fact, let's do this. Let's ungroup all of that to make it a little easier. I'm going to have the red star. I'm going to click on that singly by itself. I'm going to come and hover above it until I get the arrow and then click, and I'm just going to drag it out here to the side. I don't need to move it very far. I just need it to not overlap. And then I'm going to grab the other star in my layers panel. And I'm going to kind of do the same thing. I'm just going to move it kind of out here to the side. And then this yellow one here, let me collapse that one and open this one. Okay, so let's see. Ooh, got lucky on the first try. This top star right here, I'm going to select it. And then I'm just going to drag it just ever so slightly, kind of under there. And up just a little bit. There we go. I think that looks great. Okay, I'm going to collapse all of that. So this is my Merry and Bright. And let's select all three pieces. Okay, so everything is selected now. And then I'm going to go to Combine down in the bottom. And then I will hit Weld. And now I have one layer. So the next thing to do is slice that out of my other mug design. Okay, so here is my other mug design. And I am actually going to ungroup that one. And then I'm going to move the Merry and the Bright. And let me change that to a different color just so I can see it better. I just grabbed the first color that I could. So I'm going to size it down so that vertically it looks great. Perfect. Now I want to select all of them, and I want to come over to Edit. I want to go to Align, and I want to go to Center. And then I can collapse that menu. And finally, I'm going to click on the red snowflake layer. I'm going to hold down my Shift key and hit the Merry and Bright image. And then I'll come down here to Slice. All right, so now this slice can be deleted, and then this blue slice can be deleted. And then I'm left here with my red, Merry, and Bright. Okay, and everything is still centered because I didn't move anything around this time. And so here is my red layer and my outline. I'm going to grab both of those and I want to attach them. And then again, because I like things to look like I'm going to be making them, then I'm going to change it to red. All right, so that is the design process of the Holly Jolly Merry and Bright mug setups. If I go to make, I'm not going to save this one right now, but if I go to make, okay, so you can see here that I have my Cricut Joy Extra mat, and they are on the same mat side by side. I'm just going to move this one on the right over just a little bit, just to give it a little bit of room. There we go. Okay, the next thing I like to do is I do like to go ahead and click on Mirror because we are doing an infusible ink project. I'm going to click on Continue. Now, if you forget to click on Mirror, once you choose your material, it'll select it for you. So here's what I mean. I'm going to unmirror my design. Okay, so this is not mirrored anymore. Over here, I have infusible ink transfer sheet bookmarked already. When I select that, the Cricut will automatically turn the mirror on, okay, for iron-on and infusible ink. However, sometimes out of habit, I still click on mirror, and that's totally fine. Now for infusible ink, I personally always choose more pressure, but you'll need to decide if that's right for your machine. Once I have this ready to go, then I get my mat prepared and loaded into the machine. And then the green go button at the bottom will become active. I can then click on that and get this cut out. So let me meet you over at the craft table and we'll do exactly that. We will get our mat prepared and start cutting our design.
All right, so the very first thing I need to do is get my mat prepared. And I'm just going to use this roll here. And I actually do not need all of it. I'm going to actually cut off about 8 inches or 8.5, magnetize down on my board here. That way I can cut off what I need and it won't really be going anywhere. Grab my scissors. And you could also do this in a paper trimmer. I'm just going to go ahead and cut this off. So I'm looking at about right up this line right here. Okay. And then I can save this for another project. Okay, we're going to grab the mat. Now with infusible ink, just make sure your hands are clean and dry with no lotion or oils. And just like all of our HTV, we're going to put shiny side down. Okay. And I am going to grab my brayer. Go ahead and get this stuck down here on my mat. And then you'll notice, at least to me, the black almost looks like a really dark navy. But as you saw in my little swatch, it does come out as black. So it'll be super nice. Let me grab my Cricut Joy Extra, bring that in, open it. And then I already have the design up on my screen. So I have selected the infusible ink transfer sheet. I'm going to do more pressure. I've made sure that the mirror is on. So I'm going to go ahead and load my machine. Okay, now that it is all ready to go, I'm going to click go on my screen and then let it do its thing. When it prompts me, I will unload and we can move on to the next step. All right, so now it says unload. I'm gonna go ahead and unload the mat and put away the Cricut Joy Extra. All right, and then I'm gonna turn over my mat and just peel away okay, so here is one and here is another. And I'm going to move my mat out of the way. Okay, so here is this one. What we're going to do is go ahead and get these weeded out. So I'm just going to kind of give the ends a little crackle, go through this middle part. Okay. Same thing here. And same thing on this one. All right. So next, I am just going to pull off all of the, well, infusible ink is a Cricut, well, it's Cricut branded, but basically they're sublimation sheets. So Michaels calls theirs sublimation sheets, and Cricut calls them infusible ink. They are essentially the same thing. My first impression here is that this is a nice sheet, and that just weeded really, really well. In fact, I don't see any extra pieces that I need to pull off. It looks like that came out really well. That's perfect. Okay, and then I'm going to do the same thing on this side. I do feel like
the Cricut sheets are a little bit stiffer, and these are not, these are more pliable, I guess is what I would say. But they so far are weeding very nicely. And then I'm gonna do these letters, I'm going to do them very, very gently because since they're a nice size and all, I can use these on another craft. I can kind of basically put them together. So I'm going to very carefully pull these off. All right, this one came out super nice. I'm really liking that. And then I like to turn it over and just take a look and make sure that it looks like I got everything. So there we have Merry and Bright. And then we're going to do the same thing here with the Holly and Jolly. These are so fun. And I love the fact that you can give a full set to somebody and it makes a nice gift. So let me know down in the comments how you started decorating for Christmas. Are you someone who decorates literally the day after Halloween? Are you someone who waits? I think over the years, my husband and I decorate earlier and earlier every year. It just makes the home feel so cozy. And so we really have just gotten to where we will decorate relatively quickly after Halloween for the holidays. That works. And then we'll do the same thing with our Holly and Jolly. I'm just gonna pull off these letters super gently and save them in this little catcher here. And that way I can come up with another craft to use these on because these are nice big shapes and they are just coming off so well. Okay, so here is the Holly Jolly. I'm going to put all of these over here out of the way so that they can be used for something else. Now I'm going to bring in the mugs. I'm also going to bring in my mug press. All right, my mug press here has been heating. So these, we're going to get these ready. All right, so for each of these mugs, I'm going to use this lint-free cloth and I'm going to clean it really well. Don't know what's on there. In fact, with these mugs, a lot of times I will spray a little bit of rubbing alcohol on the mug and use my lint-free cloth. I just find that it works so much better. So there's this one. And then we'll do this one here. Also, I really do like the Michael Sublimation products are actually pretty darn good. And I have bought sublimation products from Cricut specifically. I have bought them off of Amazon. And so far, I find that really all of the things that I have tried have worked really well. All right, so now I am going to take this and kind of bend it here in the middle so I can help get it wrapped around my mug. And I'm going to kind of get this as centered as I possibly can. Okay. Then we're going to just go around. Okay, so I have this one, then I'm going to grab the other one, and I'm going to do the same thing, making sure my words are right side up, so that does say Holly Jolly in the correct orientation. Here's the Merry and Bright. We want that in the correct orientation. Okay, and then I am someone who likes to make sure that my designs come out really well. So a lot of times what I do is I will get some tape, some heat resistant tape, and I will go around the perimeter of the bottom and the top. So I do both of them.
and I make sure that I get them really nice and secure. Okay, so that'll be the bottom, and then we'll do the same thing with the top. So this step here, I would say, is, you know, optional, but I really like the way my mugs come out when I do this step. So there is my top, and then I'm just going to take this butcher paper here, and I'm going to wrap it around my mug. It's definitely too long, so I'm going to cut some of that off. And I'm going to get another piece of tape. And we'll secure the butcher paper just like this. So now my mug is ready. I'm going to open the handle and put this here into the mug press all the way down. Okay. And then I'm going to close the handle. And then this is going to work its way up through these lights. So as soon as this is done, we'll take this one out to cool and we'll put this one in. So in the meantime, I will get this one all taped up and ready to go. All right, this one is ready to go. I'm going to pull this out and set it down here. And I'm just going to let that one sit until it is absolutely and 100% cool. All right, this next one is ready to go. So I'm going to set this down into the press. All right, we're going to let this one bake, and when it's ready, we'll pull this one out, let that one sit, and when both of these are absolutely 100% cool, then we'll reveal the design. All right, this one is now also ready to go. So those are good. I'm going to turn this off. I'm going to let these set and do a craft room cleanup. So for you, it'll be just a second, but I will see you in a few minutes. All right, I believe these are cool. So we're going to go ahead and get these open. So I like to just take my True Control knife, slice that little spot right there, pull off the butcher paper. Okay, and then I do another little slice right in here. I pull off the top perimeter, and usually I do the same thing on the bottom. Hopefully this looks as great as I imagined. Wow. Y'all check that out. That is gorgeous. Oh my goodness. And this is that Michaels brand sublimation sheet. How wonderful. Okay, I'll be using those more often. All right, let's check this one out. Oh, just as beautiful. Look at that. That is fantastic. All right, my friends, look how great these mugs came out. These are fantastic. I love them. They are coordinating, so they're different, but they're coordinating. They came out great. They're nice and vivid. These would make a great gift for a couple. Like you could put some coffee in one, just like that. And you could put some of these little Bailey's miniatures in here. And I would probably put about 2 of them in one of these little mugs, but you could fill them up, wrap them, and they would make a great gift for a couple. You could also, instead of coffee and Bailey's, you could just put in some chocolates and some hot cocoa and some marshmallows, and these would make a great gift for teachers. It would make a great gift for kids. So fantastic. I love how these came out. If you found this video helpful and inspiring, don't forget to hit that like button. I am going to continue my Christmas crafting and gift series. So I'm hoping that you'll join me for the rest of those. And until I see you in the next card, craft, or decor video, as always, have an amazing day and happy crafting.
Thank you all so much for watching today. I'm so glad that you can join me at my craft table. If you're not already, I'd love to have you as a subscriber, and don't forget to hit that notification bell. That way you'll know when new videos arrive. Have a great day, and as always, happy crafting.